We're a little bit late today, but that's okay. Life is hectic. The kids are out of town. You would think life would not be so hectic. Turns out when the kids are out of town, I just get to get a lot done. So I was grinding out a few things this morning. We're going to have a special guest here soon. My wife, Amie, again. Because, the kids are out of town. And when the kids are out of town, inevitably we get to go at our own schedule. Normally at this point in time, we're putting Mr. James into school virtually. And we'd be all busy, but today we're not. How's everyone doing out there? How's life treating you? Last night there were riots in the streets in New York City. That's always interesting, unnerving. They've not come specifically in our street or on our street, probably because there's no businesses on my street. But they were within 2 blocks of my street, which is interesting. Hopefully they don't start breaking into apartments. Life is good for everyone. Good. I'm glad to hear it. Today, we don't really have an agenda. We're happy to answer whatever questions you have. Too much social media freaking you out? Yeah. You can follow on Twitter, hashtag NYC riots and NYC protest. And it's crazy stuff. The kids were actually just gone for the weekend. So normally, Amy's dad watches the kids on Monday and Tuesday. And Amy's mom comes over on Sunday night just to hang out with them. So instead of just doing, that Sunday night, Monday and Tuesday, they just decided to take the kids for Sunday afternoon, Monday and Tuesday to Brooklyn, where they live. Not that that's any more safe than where we are, I don't think, because they actually live on the first floor, basically, whereas we live way up in the sky. But they took the kids, and then yesterday was kind of crazy in the city, so they decided to keep the kids an extra day. I think they're going to bring them back soon, though. Probably like noon today or so. So, anyway, no, kids are just gone because we needed to get some work done. We haven't got any work done in forever. How long until you started seeing consistent results? I started seeing consistent results basically immediately because I was playing in very small stakes games, and I was playing Limit Hold'em, a game that doesn't have a ton of variance. But like in Sit and Goes, I saw results pretty immediately. But again, it's a low variance game. So you see results soon in low variance games. And to be fair, you get results every time you play. They could not be the results that you want, right? They could be results that you're a losing player. But that's good to know. It's good to know sometimes that, hey, I'm a losing player. What made me choose Hold'em Manager over Poker Tracker? Nothing. Probably the people I was studying from back in the day used Hold'em Manager, and I just never changed. Do you have any poker coaching dry fit shirts for sale? I do not. Am I playing the super high roller tournaments on Party Poker? Absolutely not. I think the return on investment in those games, if you are world class, is going to be like 5%. Do you really want to have gigantic variance for 5% potential ROI? Obviously not. Not for me, at least. If I had, $25 million in the bankroll, I'd probably fire him. But we don't have $25 million yet, so not in the cards. How do you start reviewing your hands? Find spots where you're losing money. Compare your stats to other good players and see what they are doing differently than you. See what numbers look differently than you and figure out why. Hello, Amie. How are you?
Morning.
We're having an Ask Amie Anything today. Ooh. So far, they're just asking me things.
Good. You have all the answers. This
is actually Ask Amie Even More. We're asking Amie even more today. If you had to start over with $50 now, given casinos are closed, well, you can't start with $50 in casinos anyway, what would we be playing? So this is a weird question, because if you're asking Jonathan Little with my skill set today, I would probably just play Sit and Goes, because I know I'm very good at Sit and Goes. For most people, though, I would tell you just to find small stakes cash games you can beat, like $5 buy-in cash games or $2 buy-in cash games, and do that. We had a lot of nice comments about you the other day. Everybody liked your presence.
Aw, thank you.
I asked you all to send $5 to PayPal if you didn't want her to come back, and I only got $50. So only 10 of you didn't like her.
That joke wasn't funny the first time he said it to me, but maybe it'll get a chuckle out of you guys.
Ha 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 ha. No one sent me any money. Button folding limping percentage versus 2 limpers. Joe, that's a horrible question. Because where did the limpers limp from? What are the limper strategies? How deep are we? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Singles are still very profitable, less than $10 buy-ins. Yeah, I agree. Is America's Card Room a scam and going down? I don't think it's a scam. I think it's a site that is operating in an illegal space, and when you operate in an illegal space, inevitably bad things happen. Do you prefer to operate in a legal space or a non-legal, illegal space or a legal space? Boop, boop. Let's see. Jaff is deep in a tournament. Good job. Congrats. Amie is a great addition, indeed. What does a good warm-up routine look like before grinding a session all day? What do I do before I grind on Sundays, Amie?
What do you do before grinding on Sundays? You make sure you've ordered enough food to stock the fridge for all of your breaks. You shower. You pee about 12 times.
Yeah, I pee a lot.
You let everyone know you're going to be working and not to bother you.
Many times. Can you get in this frame a little bit better?
Yeah. Trying to think if there's anything else.
A lot of people do things like meditate for a long time or work out.
Thomas Gould says you drink wine, but you don't start drinking wine until like 8 hours in.
Yeah,
when it starts getting stressful and you start getting tired.
No, I literally drink the wine about 30 minutes before we're done. You don't want to drink wine before that. How do you know you're going to be done? Well, you drink the wine and then you're done 30 minutes later usually. But look, I don't do a whole lot of hardcore prep or anything like that before I play because I already know how to play poker relatively well. And I think I stay relatively sane when I'm playing. I review my hands the day or two after. I'm not ever punting off stacks and I'm generally pretty happy with it. That said, I did triple barrel off my stack the other day at a $2,500 tournament. But I looked it up and it was a good punt. So if that's fine. Let's see. Do you give me a kiss on Sunday pre-game?
Depends if I'm in a good mood or not.
Yeah, that's accurate. Mushroom tea again? How did they know this is my mushroom tea? This is mushroom coffee from Four Sigmatic.
Do I give you a kiss before you go play?
I give her a kiss.
We always say good luck. It's funny. It's he. Even though we're still in the same space, and he goes and plays. He makes a point. He says bye to the kids, so that they know he's like going to work, so he says bye to the kids, he says bye to me. And so it's, it's like an event. So I guess we kiss. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then he comes out for his breaks to either refill his water and or go pee.
I always refill my water and I always pee. I get this big cup. I drink this every hour. Full of water, and then I pee it out every hour. It's perfect. It's like a cycle.
And then if he has time, he also comes and says hi to us too.
Louis Philippe says he loves my new book. It's his favorite book he's ever read for poker. Amie, what's your favorite book? Not about poker.
Yeah, I wish I read more books. I don't have one.
Oh, that's sad. All right.
I do remember in college when I was transferring schools, I had to write an essay on my favorite book. And at that time, I wrote about Winnie the Pooh and Pooh Corner. Because I wasn't going to try to pretend like I've read all these great classic books and understood them like maybe a lot of other college applicants did. But I had read parts of Winnie the Pooh and always really enjoyed it and always thought it was such a wonderful string of stories that related to children and adults. So I remember writing about that. And we actually still have that copy of the book that I've been holding on to for the kids, but they have no interest in it because there's no pictures. So.
My hair is so floppy.
I don't think it looks that bad.
Next time you guys see me, I'm going to have a shaved head.
I agree it looks long-ish, but I still think it looks fine.
If someone goes all in a lot in a tournament, they just open shove all in every hand. What should you do?
I guess call when you have good cards.
There you go. Come on, guys. This is not that hard. Get good cards and call. I mean, obviously, your qualifications for hands that are good goes down. Like, say someone goes all in for 50 big blinds and you have ace-jack offsuit, normally you'd fold. But if the person's jamming every hand, or jamming half of the hands, ace-jack offsuit becomes premium. Are you still a lawyer?
I am.
Do you like your job?
I do. I'm a lawyer at GE and really enjoying it.
Nice. Let's see. You played poker for 15 years and for over 4 years every day, and you're still a losing player. Well, that's not good. Go to pokercoaching.com/fundamentals and study that.
He said, I already bought and studied training content a lot. So how do you address someone who says that they've already bought training content?
You're probably making some sort of gigantic mistake, or you're not applying what you're actually learning. This is going to sound bad, but a lot of people get a coach not to get better, but to blame the coach when they inevitably just keep doing what they naturally do. And you want to make sure you're not falling into that category. For example, if you bought a bunch of Jonathan Little stuff and you play, not like I recommend, but you just play your normal strategy, you say, but I watched your stuff. Watching something does not mean you actually have fully learned it, you understand it, and you're applying it. Now, if you are applying it, then, and you're still losing for some reason, and you've gotten good confirmation that you're applying it properly by posting lots of hand histories, getting feedback, etc., then you're probably running bad, or you're playing in games that are unbeatable, maybe because the rate's too high, maybe because your opponents are all very good. Like, for example, if you're playing in the $100,000 buying games, you all ask me why I'm not playing. Yeah, you're not going to win, because ROIs are going to be minimal to begin with. So, that's really the answer. What do you think? If someone has studied stuff, but they're still not doing well, there's usually some disconnect between what they know and what they do. Yeah. And also, especially if you're playing tournaments, you may have mindset issues towards the middle or the late stages of a tournament where you play fine in the beginning, but then you just either blind out late because you want to move up the payouts, or you punt off your stack because you think you're supposed to try to play for the win or something like that.
And the problem, I guess, is also if you're not seeing what that disconnect is, your advice right now isn't going to be very helpful, because if they think they're doing everything right and it's still not working, they're going to hear your advice and think, well, but I think I am doing everything right. I think I am paying attention to the lessons and it's still not working. So in that case, it might involve, instead of like a detached training package, it might involve having like an actual live coach reviewing and sitting down with someone, going through and having a real conversation. Because people sometimes digest information better that way than by reading it and thinking they understand it. So it could also just be a matter of how particular people learn.
Sure, and that's kind of why I said, like, make sure you're posting hands and getting feedback, because that's like a free way to have a private coach experience to some extent. Yeah. As Glenn says, just one or two mistakes can wipe out all your good habits. It's true. Like, imagine you just play the big blind very poorly. Well, you play the big blind a lot. If you screw that up every time, you're just going to be losing money. Does my heart rate go up anymore in key hands? The only time my heart rate really goes up was when I'm playing against someone who I perceive to be very, very good, and that doesn't happen all that often, but sometimes it does. Like, I remember last time I was playing against Phil Ivey. This must have been 8 years ago or something. I had 4 of a kind. I had the nuts. And I was so excited. I don't know why. I know I'm going to win the hand. Why am I excited that I have 4 of a kind? It's not even like I'm running some sick bluff. I was excited. My heart was beating out of my chest. It's fun. You ever get excited?
Only when you walk into a room.
Oh! What's your favorite junk TV? Do you like Tiger King?
Never seen it. Didn't want to see it.
Why?
I don't know. It was weird. Like, you told me about this new show that everyone was watching, and then I think I saw a trailer for it or something, and I just said, I don't even want to get involved. I think you felt the same way. What kind of junk TV? I have for many, many, many years been a fan of Judge Judy, and I think I just kind of got exhausted of it, because it's kind of the same thing every time, and she yells a lot, and I found myself, I think especially after having kids, wanting to kind of unwind and relax with something more gentle. It could be drama, but it had to be gentle. And I found that when I would turn her on at the end of a long day, and there's just like yelling and nonsense, it wasn't the way I wanted to unwind anymore. So I recently stopped watching that. We watch, like, we love Survivor. Love Survivor.
That's not junk, though.
What
is junk TV? Do you mean, like, Jerry Springer, or do you mean, like, Survivor? Or do you mean the news? Like, what is junk?
I guess. But I would think that most people view some form of reality television as junk.
Okay.
And so I guess Survivor is the closest. I watched Top Chef, and you won't watch that with me. I like Top Chef a lot. Are there any others?
I just don't care about Top Chef. I've watched plenty of Top Chef. I just don't care. You watch Project Runway.
John doesn't like it when everyone gets along.
That's not true. Benjamin has it right. Survivor is great. The news is junk.
One day you will see us on Survivor.
I've applied a few times. Maybe they'll accept me.
Twice. You applied twice.
I
applied once. That's a couple. I applied once, but would like to apply again.
I have applied
Although at this
recently.
point now I feel like I can't apply because John applied and he's more live to get on than I am. So
I had a Survivor winner tell me that he
point?
liked my application video. So we'll see if it comes out to anything. Poker relationship tips.
If anyone wants to try to get me on Survivor before my husband gets on, that would be really funny.
You're drawing so dead. Poker relationship tips. We've answered this a few times. You have to ask, like, what is your exact situation? I think most people here have a job and they play poker some as a hobby. Maybe it could become a full-time thing. Who knows? And whenever you're in a relationship, relationships demand attention, right? You agree? Relationships. You want my attention. I want your attention.
Yeah,
you don't want me just gone all the time playing poker.
Yeah, I don't think this is a unique question to poker. I think it's just a basic relationship question. You have to be with someone that you like and trust and respect and who you think is smart and responsible. And if those things line up, then the fact that they play poker versus, are a chef or run a bike messaging service or, whatever, it will be kind of irrelevant. So I think it's more of a question of compatibility and different personality traits lining up.
But also make sure that you don't introduce something to your life that is substantially different than what you had initially. Like if I normally was hanging out on
every time.
Imagine we used to go... Every weekend we used to walk around New York City, go have brunch, and have a good time. What if I said, you know what, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm going to go play poker on the weekends. How would that have made you feel?
We go through this every time, and you always bring up an example of what if I drastically change? I mean, the same thing is true of anything. I mean, what if we got married agreeing we didn't want kids, and then one day you woke up and said, Amie, I want children, right? I mean, that would be a problem, right? If it was like really a relationship-defining moment of something one person fundamentally wants and something another person fundamentally doesn't want, then potentially there's no way to work it out. But if it's not that monumental of an issue, then ideally you work it out if you're together and care about each other and want to see each other succeed.
Fair enough.
You always seem surprised when I disagree with your response to this question.
I don't disagree with you.
No.
Sometimes it doesn't work out. However, I think it would be a shame if you had a good relationship and you decide, you know what, I want to go play poker on the weekends instead of have a good relationship. I think that would be sad. Do we ever do live training retreats? We've done a few things in the past. They were not all that successful, but we'd consider it. How much is the fundamental package? Go to pokercoaching.com/fundamentals to see. It's just part of the poker coaching membership. The charts, does an ante have any effect? If there's a regular ante, 15% ante compared to a big blind ante, it's roughly the same thing because the same amount of money is in the pot. The real issue is how much money is in the pot at this point in time. No ante versus ante is different, though. You loved yesterday's challenge content with Jonathan Jaffe. Great. We have a 30-day challenge going on right now. Head over to pokercoaching.com/tournament-challenge to sign up. Can we hear chaos from our New York City flat?
We've been hearing, so we live in a residential part, but we're just a couple blocks away from commercial streets, so we haven't... luckily haven't had any looting or riots immediately next to our building, but there have been just a few blocks away. And we do live by a lot of fire stations, police stations, and hospitals, and we've been hearing a ton of sirens for the last few days. So... and same with my parents. They live in a residential area, but not too far from where some protests and some looting is occurring. So they're okay. they're okay as well.
Instead of rose petals, you throw a deck of cards all over the bed. No, I don't have any poker-related stuff around the house.
What?
Besides exactly the stuff. So what poker-related stuff do I have?
You have an entire cabinet over there filled with the books.
No. You're missing what I'm saying.
Chips.
You're missing what I'm saying. I don't have poker paraphernalia on the walls. I don't wear poker shirts unless I'm in this room. Y'all may not know this. I keep my poker coaching shirts right here on the floor. I have 2 more right here on the floor. Our house is not a poker house.
I think he was making a joke, like
no.
romance instead of petals, do you throw cards?
What I'm saying is I don't find poker romantic at all, is what I'm trying to say. I don't find it, I don't know, it's like, some people, if you walk into their house, they have like spades and hearts and clubs on the wall. And their rug is a giant dollar bill. We don't have anything like that. That's not how we operate. You should be happy about that as well.
It never would have happened. You didn't have. What about when you lived alone in Vegas? Did you have more stuff like that around the house?
I did. I had nothing on the walls in Vegas.
That's not true.
I had art. That was it.
Right, art.
Art.
What some would call art.
Yeah. Okay. Only 30 likes. Wow, they don't like you very much today.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If you enjoy Amie being here, click like, click subscribe.
Wonder what I'm doing wrong today. What do you? How many likes do you usually get?
I don't know. We never get likes in the beginning.
Oh, okay.
It's okay.
Don't
feel bad. It's not you.
25 minutes in.
It's not you.
How is that the beginning? We're halfway through.
This is just the beginning.
Okay.
Can you make 150K from poker nowadays online? Yes, it's just a matter of volume. 150K a year is what? $12,000 a month? You can definitely make $12,000 a month playing online. Easy. But you got to put in a lot of volume. Nobody wants to put in volume. They want to play 2 days a week, and they want to play 12 tournaments a day.
Show me the money!
That's exactly right. Someone sent me a message the other day saying, I'm great at sit and goes, but they don't get me excited. I want to play multi-table tournaments. I get excited from those. I'm not good at tournaments, but can you teach me to be good at tournaments so that I can be excited and make money at the same time? I mean, like, think about how ridiculous that is. If you think you can actually make money at sit and goes, which I bet this guy probably couldn't, but if you can't actually make money from sit and goes, I gave him a very clear path to make 150K a year playing sit and goes. He may not be excited, but he'll make 150K a year. But that's going to require him to play 7 days a week, 8 hours a day, every day. Is that what you want? A lot of people don't want that. So they don't actually want to make 150K a year. Or if they do, they're not willing to do what they need to do to make the 150K a year. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about things that you want that you're actually not willing to do the work required to get?
I mean, it's frustrating. I mean, it's an internal conflict, and it's frustrating.
So
I guess sometimes you think that it should take less work to achieve certain things than it really does, and it's hard to realize how much work certain things really do take.
How long does it take to learn to make 150K a year from any job? Ask yourself that. Which jobs are there out there that will pay you 150K a year? First off, not a whole lot.
A lot of them require like several degrees of extra schooling before you even ever have the opportunity to start making money. And during that time, you're incurring debt, right? So you're not making money, plus you're incurring expenses. So it's a pretty long slog to, and so poker's the same way, right? You have to put in years and years of study before you really can start seeing any type of payoff.
It's not even years and years of study though in poker. That's the great thing about poker. It is a
play
pure like meritocracy to some extent, where you get paid based on your skill level, right? And the amount of work you put in. And if you devote 2 years of your life to getting good at poker, I would bet I could take someone who is, decent at games, doesn't know poker, and they could probably be making 100K a year within 2 years. Be a lot. I mean, it'd be a lot of work. They'd have to grind a lot. They have to devote their life to it, just like you devote your life to college.
That sounds like a new program you should record and.
2 years of well, really the answer is find a game you can beat, grind it a ton. I actually did this a while back, Going Pro Series with One Time Joker, and he became a professional poker player, played for a while, decided he wanted to go back to art because he didn't like grinding all day every day. He was an artist before. Made him a few $100K, went back to being an artist. Nothing wrong with that, right? Find what you want to do and do it. But he realized he didn't want to grind all day every day. How long does the 30-day talent challenge take each day? 30 minutes to an hour? Not a ton. Go there and try it. Sign up. You'll enjoy it. A lot of people are making it through it. Let's see.
It started this month?
It started about, I think, 9 days ago, something like that. So a little bit late.
Why didn't you start it on like the first of a month?
That would have been smart, wouldn't it? Poker players don't really care about the day of the month or the time of the month, but I realize we're not all poker players.
Yeah.
But then, is it June? How many months or days are in June? January, February, March, April, May, June. 30 days are in June.
Yeah.
Y'all know you can use your knuckles to figure out how many days there are in each month? January has 31. February has fewer. March has 31. April has 30. May has 31. June has 30. July has 31. Then you go back the other way. August has 31. September has 30. Etc.
You couldn't finish the last 3? You got through 9?
Yeah, they can figure it out.
And you said, that's it, I stop here?
I showed them the differentiator in the pattern.
Yeah.
July and August both have 31, and then you go backwards.
Okay.
Now they all know. They don't have to worry about that again.
I just think it's funny that you went through all that effort and stopped at October.
I went through exactly the pattern differentiator, and then I went through.
No, you went through September also.
Okay, then. Will we ever do a live play and explain for cash games? So we've have a bunch of videos of me playing cash games as part of the cash game masterclass at pokercoaching.com. I play some slow games. I play some start speed. What are they called? Zoom games, fast forward games, whatever you want to call it. So anyway, that's all there. Take a deck of cards with me if we play on Survivor. It is an interesting question.
I don't think they let you bring personal items anymore. They used to in the early seasons, and or maybe they do, but they just don't make a big deal of showing the audience what they are anymore. But in the beginning, there was a whole thing about everyone would bring a personal item, and they would talk about their personal item and what it meant to them. And I remember when I did my only audition tape, I showed what my personal item would be during my video. But they don't seem to do that anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you have like your jewelry or, whatever, your clothes. So maybe one of those could have like some sentimental value to it. But other than that, I don't see anyone like bringing items with them.
If I went on Survivor, I would only wear boxer shorts to prove how strong I am and that the elements don't apply to me.
Yeah. You do that at home anyway. Why would that be a surprise?
What do you want our kids to remember about these times of life?
Well, Thomas won't. James, he's young enough to kind of understand in real time a little bit of what's going on, but I think he's old enough to kind of understand, but young enough that I'm not sure he'll really remember a lot about this. So we'll probably have to remind him about that time, where we wore masks and had to stay inside and be careful. I think we've taken maybe 1 or 2 pictures of him to kind of remember this time, with a mask on to remember this time. But I don't know that he'll remember. Like maybe a year from now he will.
Our kids don't remember any of this stuff. I don't remember.
Thomas won't, but I don't know that James will.
I don't remember anything from when I was a kid, like at all. Like, I don't know when my first memory that I can recall was. I must have been like 6 or 7 or 8 or something. But my memory's terrible, so.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. They'll hear about these times and whatnot. When you hear someone someone says they have a brilliant legal mind, what do they mean? Have you ever worked with anyone who thinks you're a brilliant legal mind?
I have no idea. I guess it just means that it's someone who's very thoughtful and analytical, and can work their way through rules easily and put multiple pieces together at the same time, in a way that maybe other people struggle with. And then on top of that, not only understanding current rules, but being able to kind of take those rules to the next level. So what are some, inferences we can make from that, or where is the law going, or where should it go? But I don't think anyone's has said that I have a brilliant legal mind.
What's your favorite pizza place in New York City? Make it snappy.
So I guess it's, by default, I guess I'll still say Juliana's, even though it's been like 5-6 years since we've had it.
No,
right?
We went when Shannon was here, or I went when Shannon was here last time. Were you there?
That was before. I think that was before we were even married, John.
Goodness gracious! Do you ever jump rope?
I wish I could jump rope.
What?
when I was a kid, I would like play with the jump rope outside, right? But I see people at the gym jumping rope, and there were times years ago when I had a trainer and he would try to get me to jump rope a little bit, and I was very bad at it. And I wish I could do it because I feel like that's a fantastic exercise that you could take anywhere with you. And I'm just terrible at it. But I think it's just, I think it's just a matter of needing to practice, I guess.
Yes. You don't care enough to get good at jumping rope?
I guess not enough.
Do we have the same taste in music?
No.
Does she play poker too?
No.
Amy's won a charity poker tournament, and she's been on the World Poker Tour one time for 1 second when she final tabled a charity poker tournament.
I play the charity tournaments. Yes.
You want to talk about the one time you played live or not really? In the casino? Someone asked that earlier. Have you ever played a non-charity poker tournament?
Yeah, I played at John and I years ago went to Foxwoods, and he was there to play like an actual tournament series, and I joined him. And he offered to sign me up for like a turbo tournament. He had been kind of teaching me to play a little bit and said, well, why don't you go play and try it out? So I sat down to play a turbo tournament. I was very nervous because I never really played. I'd only ever just like been learning from him, which is very different obviously from sitting down in a real setting. He told me to write down my hands and any notes so that we could chat about it after. So I came with a small pad of paper and a pen. And I took forever to make every decision I made.
Amy's very diligent.
I got berated at the table by one guy in particular. Another guy was also slightly snickering and teasing. I got called sweetheart. I got laughed at. And eventually I just got so stressed and frustrated, I couldn't even think about what was happening in a hand, and I just kind of went all in with whatever I had and lost and left. And then I proceeded to cry. Because it had been such a nerve-wracking experience, and because I was getting mocked at the table. I don't want to blame it on everyone who was there. There were a couple people who were nice and quiet and just were keeping to themselves. They didn't care. But the guy immediately to my left was a bit of a jerk. So I walked over to where John was playing after I lost. I sat down behind him. I guess his tournament went on break, so he said, let's go take a walk. And as soon as we left the tournament area, I just started bawling. It was scary, and frankly, I didn't find it to be a very welcoming environment. So I didn't play again for a long time after that.
People wonder why females have a difficult time getting into poker, and it's because this is often their first experience. And obviously that is terrible.
I don't even know that. I mean, yes, there were some things that were gender related. I mean, calling me sweetheart and, whatever. But, and it wasn't sweetheart in a nice way. It was when he saw me taking notes on my hands, he snickered and said something like, that isn't going to help you, sweetheart. Like kind of in a nasty way. And what's actually kind of funny also, two things. One is just the general issue of if you think someone is terrible at poker, like the guy obviously thought I was, why would you berate me to make me feel bad? You should want me to be in the game playing so you can win my money, right? So that's just like the general, don't tap the glass or whatever, don't. That's right, you got it right. Just... if I'm bad, let me be bad. Welcome me to your table. Let me have fun, so that I'll want to keep playing with you. But the other thing was that John would periodically walk by the table to check in on me. And, he's obviously an accomplished player, was an accomplished player back then even. But the guy, obviously, it's a different pool. It was like a $75 turbo, so it's a different pool of people. Didn't know who he was, didn't recognize him. And I think had he probably would have felt a little sheepish about the fact that he was teasing me in front of, with John nearby. So, but anyway.
What happened after we left?
Well, we ran into one of John's friends, Miami John, who was, he was heading down so John and I walked up to our room to take a break. I guess we were going to have lunch or something, so we went up to the room to take a break real quick, and we were seeing his friend Miami John come the other way. And I had stopped crying by then, but my eyes were all red. Obviously, I looked. So he looked at me and he said, "Oh my God, what's wrong?" And so John said, and I think he said something to the effect of, "I have too big of a heart to be playing poker."
Miami John is very nice. He won Lifetime Achievement Award this year for the Global Poker Awards. I was very happy for him.
So, I'll it's funny. I remember, I kind of remember what happened at the table. Like, I kind of don't even remember verbatim the taunting I got or what the guy next to me looked like, but I'll always remember Miami John and how nice he was, and how sweet. And, it makes you realize that, there are always going to be bad people everywhere, but most people are good, so...
Because Miami John's still playing. As far as I know, I mean, I don't know how many catches he has, but a decent amount. He's still in there doing it. But yeah, I love Miami John.
Yeah, that was a really nice way to turn that day around.
Yes. How should men act towards females at the poker table? How would you have liked to be treated? Just
normally. Just sit down and play. And just normally. I don't need any special treatment because I'm a girl or a woman. I just normally. And maybe he was treating me normally. Maybe if I wasn't a girl and was a boy who had sat down with a pad of paper and a pen writing down hands, he would have acted exactly the same way. Although I have to wonder if maybe if I had been a guy, like a young guy sitting at the table taking notes, maybe his assumption wouldn't have been that I was like a sucky beginner player. Maybe it would have been, oh, this is like a good young kid who's trying to, take notes on strategy or something. Maybe the assumption would have just been different. I don't know. But, it was not a welcoming environment. So whether it was because of gender or not is somewhat irrelevant. The point is you should make poker welcoming to everyone who sits down at your table.
Do you think it is acceptable to call women sweetheart, honey, etc., etc.?
I mean, I don't like it. So I'm not going to make a general statement, but I personally don't like it.
Okay, good. So, if you want to be nice and respectful to women, would you suggest not calling them these things?
Well, like I said,
give our kids advice. They show up to it and there's a lady there. Would you say, "Hey, call her honey"?
Well, what's funny is I don't know that we would ever have to give them advice on that issue because they never hear us use those words. Like, that's not how we talk to each other, and that's not how we talk to other people. Just like my parents never said to me, "Don't call someone honey." I just never did because that wasn't the vocabulary used in our house of how to speak to people.
Why is honey offensive to you?
I just find it to be a bit demeaning. I don't know. Like, it's kind of diminutive and potentially condescending. I don't know.
Do you
think...
And
it of course depends on context, right? I mean, the context in which that guy was talking to me was meant to be condescending and was meant to make me feel less than, right? Like, if you said to me, I want, what can I get you for dinner, honey? Obviously, you're not intending it to be that way. It would feel completely weird coming out of your mouth because that's just not how we talk to each other. Just like I don't call you babe or whatever, like, hey babe. I just can't even fake it right now or say it naturally.
Well, I'm not a baby.
Right, so.
I think Mark has it right here. It's condescending to call people names like that unless you're familiar with them, and it's part of the dynamic. You should not just be calling random strangers things like that. That said, it's going to sound a little bit bad, but if you go to the poker table, you need to have a very thick skin.
Well, yeah, and that was my fault, right? I was not prepared mentally. That's why so much of the game is not only what you know on how to play, it's also mental. So for me, I was completely ill-prepared mentally. I had no stamina. I had no ability to make decisions quickly. I would sit too long on my analysis of my hands. And I had no ability to kind of read the table and what was going on to prepare in advance for how I wanted to deal with my cards. So it was a perfect way to start, a $75 turbo, who cares? But it also, I should have known going in that it was going to be a disaster. And I don't think I realized it was going to be and you know what it was? I think initially you were going to put me into a $300 women's tournament.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if the timing didn't work or I felt too nervous to do it.
So I think it was the buy-in that you didn't want.
So you said, why don't you do the $75 turbo? It'll be done in an hour. You just play, you see what it's like, and that's it. So, it wasn't I probably should have just done the women's tournament.
So it's like, I think I generally realize what is acceptable to do and what's not acceptable at the poker table, but I think a lot of people don't know that the things they are doing are demeaning. So how can we make people aware of that? Maybe there's people here who have perfectly good intentions, and for all you know, maybe the guy on your left or right, whoever it was, who was a jerk, maybe he wasn't actually trying to be a jerk.
Yeah, maybe not. But he
came off that way.
That's just how I perceived it and how I reacted, and I didn't handle it very well.
Well, but I would not want to be a jerk
for a long time after that.
And look, we have a good group of people here who want to do the right things, but they may be doing things that they don't know are out of line. So what are a few more things that were out of line, or no? You don't know?
I don't know.
It's tough because calling people honey, for example. Someone said that's how people in the South talk. It is. Everybody calls everybody a pet name. I don't know why. That's just what they do. But that's also... You have to realize that everyone does not perceive what you do the way that you meant it to be perceived.
And to be fair, when I hear someone use those words towards me and I understand the context, it's not like I'm per se offended every time I hear the words. Like, I had friends in college who used the terms like hun and sweetie and stuff, and I didn't get it, but I wasn't offended when they used it with me because I understood that that's how they talk. Same thing if it's like cultural or regional. I'm just saying, in that context, it was clearly not intended to be an appreciated nickname for me. He was clearly trying to shake me a little bit, so... That's all I'm saying.
It's also important to realize, though, that whenever you're playing poker with people who may not have the same social interactions that you think are acceptable. For example, in China, in the high-stakes games...
Was that your mom who wrote that?
It was. And the...
Listen,
I'm in the middle of a point.
Okay. But, I just... And like, Rita, of course it's fine when we say it among family and it's cultural. There's no issue with that at all.
The Chinese high rollers... It is unacceptable there to stare someone in the eyes when you are playing poker. You don't do it. You do that, it's out of line, and you will get in trouble. Why? I don't know. That's how their social interactions work. And so, they will do things like ban you. You cannot play if you do things like that. And you know that if you want to play, you better observe their social norms. Because they're the ones providing the money. It's basically their games. They can do what they want. If they say, you don't look at our eyes, because looking at someone's eyes in this region is thought to either be overly affectionate or overly aggressive, one of the two, you just don't do it. So when you're playing poker with someone, and you know that calling them pet names is something that you just don't do, then don't do it, right? Be nice to the people you're playing with and do things that make them happy and comfortable. You may say, well, shouldn't I do things to try to tilt him and annoy him? No. Don't be a jerk. Let's see. When you call a 7-year-old kid in Boston, it's no big deal. But call a 20-year-old in Idaho a kid and they want to fight. Yeah, some people don't like being called kids. I call anyone younger than me a kid sometimes, and some people get offended. It's always funny to me. But clearly, you shouldn't call people things they don't want to be called, right? Why do you like playing charity tournaments instead of regular tournaments?
They're just fun. You know, people are there to kind of talk and hang out, have a couple of drinks, chat, raise money for a good cause. I just find it to be low pressure. It's funny, I find it to be lower pressure on the poker playing, but more pressure on the social aspect. But, you know, once you sit down at a table, and so if anyone ever plays with me, you'll inevitably notice that I don't say anything for like the first hour, and I'm just watching people and trying to get a sense of the room, and then eventually I might open up a little bit, but I'm not chatty or goofy. In the beginning when we used to do it, we would often be seated together, which made it a little bit more relaxed, but even then I was quiet. I wouldn't talk except maybe to you in between hands or something.
Yeah.
So socially, more pressure to be chatty and goofy at the table, but less pressure on how you're playing poker, and less strict. Less strict on the rules.
Scott Shore, good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
We were just talking about when Uncle Shannon was here and we went to go get pizza.
Yeah.
Are charity games looser? Yes.
Yeah.
When's the next charity tournament? We don't know. They've all been canceled. I was actually supposed to be the MC of a charity tournament yesterday, but it got canceled because of the virus. Mark says he sticks to sir and ma'am. Sir and ma'am are definitely less offensive, but at the same time, you don't even need any names. Like,
no, I don't like ma'am either.
You never know what's going to turn somebody off, right? So
it just hits my ear weird. That's all.
Yeah.
But I don't feel bad about it. I'm just like, you don't have to. Whenever someone says that, I go, you don't have to call me ma'am.
What advice could we give to a capable online player playing their first live tournament? Realize you're playing one tournament, not 20 like you're going to play online. There's going to be a lot of variance. Realize that game's going to be a little bit slower. You don't have to be in the action every hand. Make sure you keep your mannerisms under control. Keep your tells under control and just play good poker. Dante doesn't like hey brother. Doesn't like to be called someone's brother. Whatever, right? I mean, it's tough. So listen. At the end of the day, if you're going to be playing poker and interacting with a lot of people from a lot of different cultures, understand that some things some people do you're not going to like or appreciate. You may actually hate it. But you cannot let it get to you within reason. If someone's doing something well out of line, then you can talk to the tournament director about it. You can't tell the tournament director, this guy called me sweetie and I don't like it. You can't do that. But if you want to have a good, strong mindset and not let these things bother you, realize that everything in life, in all interactions in life, there are going to be people who do things you don't particularly like and you have to deal with it. And realize, I mean, I don't know, this may be overly aggressive, but people's words don't matter all that much. I don't know. People's words do matter, though. It's a tough thing. Because,
of course, some words do matter. But in general, the way people interact with each other, you should kind of write off a bunch of it.
That's what I mean,
at the
right?
poker table. I think it's part of what you said before. You have to develop a thick skin when you're at the table, and you have to develop a really strong ability to focus on what's happening at the table. So it's going to require you. People are going to be chatting next to you. People are going to be using, terminology to address each other that you might not be familiar with or, particularly be a fan of. And you just have to kind of zero in and focus. You can't let anything tilt you. I mean, of course, if there are egregious or just, socially unacceptable things happening at the table, you shouldn't let that roll off your back. But, but for them, that's not what's happening for the most part. That's not what we're talking about.
Favorite place in the UK? I've only played poker 2 times in the UK. Once at Dusk Till Dawn, it was great, and another time at Aspinall's Club, which was some insane place. It was
amazing. I haven't
amazing.
really been to the UK either.
Where would you recommend someone from the UK visit in America? Name one place.
One place in all of the US to visit?
Uh-huh.
I think it probably depends where they're from in the UK. If they're from the countryside, they should probably come see a city. If they're from a city, maybe they go see part of our countryside. Like Wyoming or something.
I asked for one place, and look what happens. This is true, though. Go to maybe New York City or Las Vegas or somewhere like that if you're not from a city. If you're from the city, go to Wyoming or somewhere. Susan, hello. Hope you're having a great day. Are you more political than I am? I don't think either of us are especially political.
I guess
You are for sure. You follow news way more than I do.
I vote. So I guess that makes us. But I think, we talk about it the same amount. And I think we care about things approximately the same amount. And we both probably would benefit from a little bit more activism in our lives. But
do I listen to music while playing? Not really. Some, not really, though. Let's see. Do I play daily fantasy at all? I played daily fantasy the first 3 years it came out. I had a good win rate the first year, marginal win rate the second year, break even third year. And that's what happens. Why do you feel like you get so many good hands versus other good hands in tournaments online or in games online? Because you play way more hands online. When you play way more hands, inevitably you see way more setups. People don't realize they're playing 2 times or 6 times or 12 times as many hands online as you do live. So live you may get set up 1 time in a day. Online you can get set up 1 time in an hour or more, depending on how many games you're playing. What are my thoughts on various online poker sites? Go to youtube.com/pokercoaching and look just right down the video list. You'll see something about online poker within America. Do we have anything else you want to talk about today? Aspinall's is a tuxedo-type place. It is, indeed. It was very fancy. What did I skip?
I thought you skipped down some questions.
We've skipped a bunch of questions today.
Because we're at the end of the hour already?
Listen, I appreciate all of you typed in questions. If I didn't answer them, either I've answered them in our literal last episode or in a previous Ask Amie. Go back and search Ask Amie Anything. It'll come right up. Thin crust or deep dish? How about just regular?
Thin crust. I do not like deep dish. We went to Chicago one time for a friend's wedding. Well, we were in Chicago for my work, and it was right before a friend's wedding in Pittsburgh. So we stayed in Chicago for a couple days after my work event ended before we then, I guess we rented a car, right, and drove to Pittsburgh. And we were going to go to one of, like, the famous deep dish pizza places there. But I got sick, right? Or you? I got sick. Some reason I got sick. Oh, yeah, because of that air conditioning vent that was on me, like, all day. Remember? And then I woke up sick. Anyway, I got sick, so we couldn't leave the hotel the next day. So we ordered delivery. It was the most expensive pizza pie we ever had in our lives.
This was in Chicago?
Because we had to pay for it to be delivered to the hotel.
It was like $25 delivery.
And then...
And for a $12 pizza.
Yeah, it ended up being like a $40, $50 pie with tip and everything. And we both had 2 bites of it, and we just said... This is not for us.
What's your favorite Netflix show right now?
Well, we're watching Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt right now, which I just think is really, really funny.
It's a very funny show.
We're in season 3, so we're really enjoying it.
Who's your favorite poker player besides me?
Do I have one?
I don't know.
I don't think I have one. I just don't know that I, follow... Should I have one?
You think about that. Why don't they change poker to where people get a percentage of their equity in the pot whenever they get it all in instead of, having to run it out? Because then the game would become very skill-based, and then the game would die.
I guess Shannon? Shannon must be...
Yeah, Shannon Shore's dad is here in the chat, so Shannon Shore is the answer.
Shannon Shore is my favorite poker player besides John.
Why do they not make poker a pure skill game? Because it would die. That's the answer. You want poker to become chess? Absolutely not. Went down to Tampa to play some tournaments. You ended up losing 600 big blinds in 60 hours. Now you're back home grinding 100 no limit. Any advice? I don't know. Study a lot and play a lot. All right, we have to get going.
Aww.
Mike made a good deep run. Congrats.
Favorite pizza in New York? Juliana's in Brooklyn.
How do you control your anger when tilting? I don't have anger when tilting.
Yes, he does.
I really don't.
Yes, he does.
I really don't. I don't think you know what anger and tilt actually is.
Just because you're showing some anger doesn't mean you're not showing any anger.
Sure. But does that lead to me playing poorly? So you don't know the answer to that.
I don't know
the answer to that is no, it does not lead to me playing poorly.
How do you know that, though?
Because I review my hands when I'm not having any sort of emotions.
Maybe. But you tell people all the time about how important it is to not get tilted because it'll affect your play. So how are you able to not let it affect your play, but you think it affects everyone else's?
Because I've seen it.
What a convenient answer.
I streamed all day Sunday last week. I did not have a great Sunday. You can go there and watch it. See all my interactions. Did it look like I was angry at any point in time? Go back and observe. Watch all 12 hours of it or whatever it was. Also, I recorded myself playing all day.
You don't record your breaks when you leave the room for the 5 minutes and you're like, oh, I'm getting SHAT on. Oh, this day is going horribly. Oh, I need more wine and cheesecake. Okay, I'm going to go pee and go back in there.
And then the 5 minutes is up, and it's time to go back and play more poker. I should let you stream one day and coach you the whole time. You want to stream all day Sunday and let me coach you?
Someone has to watch the kids.
Yeah, that's tough.
That'll be my excuse.
Have you ever punched a computer screen? No, but I have smashed a glass table one time and it shattered all around my feet. This is when I was young and dumb.
And he slams his mouse repeatedly.
I really don't slam my mouse repeatedly.
When he's upset, he slams the mouse.
I know better than that. Maybe lightly. Back when I was young and dumb, I shattered it and it went all over my lap. I was playing 16 sit and goes and I lost 12 of them in the first 2 minutes. All on stupid spots. I shattered the glass table like an idiot. I sat there, I had 4 more tables left. I played those 4 tables, I remained sane, and I won. All 4 of them.
Everyone has their process.
That paid for the table. Alright, that's going to be it for today. Enjoy yourselves, have fun, good luck, thanks for being here, we appreciate you. Click like, click subscribe. if you enjoyed this. If you did not enjoy this, well, don't come back next time. Also, check out pokercoaching.com/tournament challenge. Spend 30 minutes to an hour each day working on your poker skills. We have it perfectly lined up for you. If you're a Poker Coaching member, go to pokercoaching.com, click on the challenges section, and we have additional challenges there for you too if you don't want to study exactly tournaments. So, good luck, have fun, make use of your time. Amie, thank you for being here. We appreciate you.
Oh, thank you for having me.
We probably won't have Amie on the show again for a while, but
it'll be a while, yeah.
It's been fun. You'll have to come back to just me next time. We'll have one half as many viewers, half as many likes, maybe even less because you're the better half.
Maybe more. You never know.
Nah, you're the better half.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank all of you. Have a great day. Good luck. And I will talk to all of you again